Content warnings for this video are going to include the discussions of public indecency, SA, and smear campaigns. Please proceed with caution. Nothing discussed within this video at the time of scripting and recording has been proven or disproven in a court of law and should be considered the opinion of either myself or those I am sourcing. Thank you. If there is one thing that the internet is widely known for, it's shifting viewpoints on controversial topics. The way the internet currently works, which isn't actually new in the grand scheme of things, is that we are presented with a catchy hook to engage with content, and sometimes we only get information from the first 5 or 10 seconds of something, either video or reading, before forming our own opinions on the topic. This leads to a lot of fear-mongering tactics going pretty viral. We can blame this on short-form content, but this has been an issue figuratively forever. It's how rumors start and newspapers have been selling. It's why your boomer relatives believed, and mostly still believe, in rather ludicrous conspiracy theories before the time of the internet. We can't blame the internet for all of our attention spans melting away, after all. It's not just old boomers falling for conspiracies and misinformation, though. With the ever-evolving landscape of generative AI and bot accounts looking and typing more and more human-like, we tend to see in real time suspicious smear campaigns forming against people speaking out against injustices they experience or perceive. So let's discuss the TikTok viral situation of the Doordash girl and the couch guy. Hey there, I'm here to interrupt your regularly scheduled entertainment. Let's lay down the short and general information about this situation. Doordash girl, aka Livie, got an order to drop off food at someone's door. She gets there and finds that the door to the house is wide open and there's a man laying on the couch inside, nude from the waist down. She records this and posts it on her TikTok account, stating that she had been SA'd while on the job. Doordash later fires her over this. That's fucked up. At first, people were heavily on Livie's side because it's sadly not unusual for this kind of thing to happen to someone, especially someone femme presenting. Before her video went mega viral the way that it has, it was posted on a DoorDash related subreddit, which I think it was like DoorDash cringe or something along those lines, and garnered a lot of sympathy because, again, this situation isn't unusual as messed up as that is. I've never done like food delivery, but I was like door to door very briefly. And I also worked at a local grocery store, and I've been flashed more times than I can count on both hands. And the police just tend not to care if this situation happens to an adult. Editing Finn here, so I mixed up the timeline a little bit with the order of events. So originally, Livie had actually posted the video on TikTok around the same time that she had reported the incident to DoorDash. I'm not sure if she reported it to DoorDash first and then posted the TikTok, or if she posted the TikTok first and then reported it to DoorDash. But about 12 hours after she posted the initial video, she was told or responded to a comment saying that she should report the incident to the police.
I reported this to DoorDash over 12 hours ago, and they're supposed to call me back, which is strange because I've reported a couple less serious incidents before, and they called me back within 1 to 2 hours for those reports. So I don't know what's going on there, but I didn't report this to the police last night because I wasn't sure of DoorDash's process for like SA, or if this was even reportable to the police in New York State because he was in his home. But after so many people told me to report it to the police, I did.
With this corrected order of events, I do find it a little weird that she posted the video to her TikTok account prior to reporting it to the police. DoorDash fired her for this, since it's against their terms to post photos or videos of customers online. Livie uploaded a tearful video, getting pretty upset over being fired from her job over what she described as SA.
Hey guys, so DoorDash just deactivated me 2 days after I reported my sexual assault. Hey guys, I just lost my job, and they won't tell me why. They're supposed to send an email immediately after deactivation providing you the reason why and a link to appeal, and they didn't. So I contacted support, and they made me sit on the phone with them for 50 minutes just to tell me that they can't tell me the reason why, and I have to just go ahead and appeal without knowing why. So my chances of getting my account back, they have my money in that account. I was working! I was literally working! And they deactivated me! This is related. They just punished me for posting about my sexual assault while door dashing. They just fired me! And the police are doing nothing! I lost my job! And that was my only way to make money to pay my bills!
Her being terminated from Doordash caused sympathetic viewers of her video of the situation to pledge to boycott Doordash on her behalf, no doubt causing a noticeable dip in their memberships because the videos that Livie had been posting were picking up significant traction in the algorithm at this point. Suddenly, and rather randomly it seems, a new narrative popped up that Livie was actually lying about everything within this situation, apart from being fired from Doordash for posting the video of the man that was nude on his couch. Rapidly, to an almost scary degree, a rumor began to circulate that Livie had actually pushed open this man's door and went into his house to record him sleeping on his couch without his knowledge or consent. They claim that the video that Livie had posted from outside the man's house with his door already open was actually the second take of the event, and that she had deleted the original video of her pushing the door open and deleted other content of her admitting to opening the door and walking into the man's house. Tons of comments started flooding every video that talked about this situation, spreading the same narrative, some of them coupled with a photo or 3 photos of the door to the man's home being closed or cracked or having a hand pushing it open as evidence to their claims on the situation. Many of these accounts seem to be bots or burner accounts, often brand new with no content, no followers, and not following anyone, at least at first. As these comments flooded into every video expressing sympathy towards Livie, a lot of larger content creators also shifted the narrative by believing these comments and making new videos expressing disgust and disappointment that Livie would lie about something so serious. These larger content creators began to try to rationalize why this man was half naked on his couch, with the story shifting away from the singular fact that he was half naked on the couch into something wildly fantastical and speculative, like he could have been drunk and passed out while in the middle of changing, that he could have been too hot and was trying to cool off, and even one video I seen was claiming that they thought it was possible that he had some sort of medical emergency, and even shamed Livie for not rushing to his aid.
What if he was drunk? What if he was dead? What if he was having a medical emergency? Bitch, what if? I am sick of yous. I'm so done.
The ever-evolving narrative shifted again when someone began posting on videos, being a friend of a friend of a friend, that the couch guy was aware of everything going on since Doordash had allegedly banned him from the platform as a customer, and he was going to use his Ring doorbell footage to prove that Livie had actually broken into his house to film him while in a vulnerable position, and he was going to sue her for defamation. The issue with all of this, though, is that none of it seems to be true, or at the very least, no one can provide any credible evidence of any of these claims.
It's giving some of y'all are being paid off by Doordash to spread misinformation, because that lady never went into his house. I've actually watched every single clip she's ever posted. She never mentioned going into his house. I don't know why y'all keep saying that.
There have been a lot of people saying things like I entered the customer's home or I opened the customer's door, but I can assure you that I did not do either of those things, and I have obtained irrefutable proof that the door was already wide open when I arrived to the customer's house. But due to its importance, I cannot post that proof at this time.
When pressed for evidence on any of the videos or comments about Livie's mysterious original video, no one is able to provide a copy of it, despite the virality of the story on TikTok, which, if this video did exist, someone would definitely have a copy of it, since before this story went viral, Livie was already regularly getting several thousand views on her videos. I personally am stuck in the 200 view jail on TikTok on a good day, and even I have people saving my videos, so I can only imagine how many people save all of Livie's videos with hundreds of thousands of views. Instead of being provided with any sort of real evidence, people asking for it are told to do your own research and to find the original videos themselves on other platforms like Reddit and Twitter. Except this mysterious original video where Livie pushes open the door and walks into this guy's house and verbally says in another video that the door was cracked is nowhere to be found. Many people, myself included, searched for several hours to locate this lost media, and nothing but her actual video exists as far as anyone can tell. The photos I mentioned before that people have been adding to the comments to show a cracked door, well, 2 of those are either AI or very badly photoshopped, and one of them is actually just a cropped screenshot from Livie's original video where the door was already wide open. Also to mention that it would be hard to push open a screen door that pulls towards you, but what do I know? And the claim that she entered his house, I think that stems from people not understanding either A, that there was like a railing on the porch, and B, that she used her phone's camera to zoom in. She never entered the man's house. Despite some people slowly acknowledging that there was no deleted original video of this incident, people remained against Livie and began to find any litany of reasons to downplay her experience and even blame her for what had happened. Things I've seen floating around have been, you just saw something you didn't like. It's not traumatic. You should have just closed the door if you didn't want to see it. And you didn't have to look. Which honestly, all of the methods of victim blaming is a little ridiculous, but I think you don't have to look is one of the more egregious ones that I've seen, because who doesn't look around them when they're walking? Do you just stare at the ground the whole time you're walking around? I mean, I doubt it. And what if she wasn't watching her surroundings and this was something even more nefarious than indecent exposure? What if he got up and went to her? Because regardless of the intent of this guy or our perceived intent of the guy, this is a case of indecent exposure since he could be seen nude from the sidewalk, apparently.
And then another major factor that we're not even considering is that man lives in a duplex. In that video, you'll see another door next to his. That's another apartment unit right next to his. That could be a family. Anybody could walk out. See, listen, if I wasn't the target, you still shouldn't be whacking it off, whether you're drunk or under the influence of any substances, with your door wide open regardless, because anybody could walk out and get assaulted from that, seeing what you're doing on your couch. It could be a child. Anybody could come up on your porch and see that. Anybody walking by on the sidewalk and accidentally getting a glance would be a victim.
Because no, despite what you may hear from the internet randoms in the comment sections of everywhere, you can't just be naked in your own house if you're visible to the general public. It's still an issue. Also, I'm not a Doordash driver, and I don't regularly get food delivered to my house, but I looked at Doordash's like photo requirements to verify drop-off, and the requirements are basically to take a picture in a way where it's recognizable where you delivered the food, with like their tips listing that you should include like a doorway or other decor so the customer knows that it's at their house. If she didn't take the photo of the house in a way that was recognizable to the customer, couldn't that customer then just claim that they never received their order or that it was dropped off to the wrong place and do a chargeback? This is my own tinfoil hat speculation, obviously, but that sounds a lot more plausible reasoning for this situation than most of the other ones that I've seen circling the rumor mill. In the realm of people saying that what happened wasn't that bad or not traumatic or whatever, I've also seen people say that from her video, you couldn't see his genitals. But just because we couldn't see them from the video doesn't mean that she couldn't see them when she was standing there in person through her sightline. Most people solely on Livie's side of the situation have stated that this is most likely an exhibitionist trap, which, again, is disgustingly common in the delivery industry, especially food deliveries. They rationalize this theory with more common sense logic like, why would you order a food delivery, prop your door wide open, and then wait for it with no pants on? Especially a food delivery that apparently only took like 15 minutes to get to you after ordering it. One video I saw actually pointed out that the man potentially had what appeared to be a camera on the table next to his head pointed towards the door, furthering their speculation that if this was an exhibitionist trap, that he was probably recording the reaction of the delivery person.
This is not normal male behavior, I will explain. So I made this video recently and someone commented that there's actually a camera up here. This camera specifically, because he's filming the front door, you idiots.
An interesting point that I've seen a few people making is that people were only blaming Livie for this because she was an adult woman they found mildly annoying with how she recounted the situation. And to think about how different the viewpoints would shift if he had done this on, say, Halloween with a bowl of candy out to lure children to the porch and see him.
If your kids were trick-or-treating, walking up to a house, the door is wide open with a man laying on the couch with his pants down below his ankles, you would not even question nor doubt that he was trying to intentionally flash those kids. Why are y'all playing dumb when it comes to this situation?
But I think the part that's the most concerning for me is how close we are to Halloween. How close we are to Halloween, and how people are making these arguments of, oh, well, he can be naked in his own house, as if him staging it specifically so that he exposes himself to people unconsensually isn't the entire problem here. The entire problem, I'm naked in my own house all the time. That's not the issue here, right? And we're getting so close to Halloween, how do you know that man isn't practicing? How do you know that man doesn't intend to put a table right outside his door with a bowl of candy and a sign that says "Take one, please," to lure children onto his porch so that he can expose himself to them by laying on his couch and pretending to sleep? You guys are incredibly naive and will make any excuse possible to defend a man who is acting out in a sexually predatory way.
People leaning more towards the man side said to think about how the viewpoints would be different if the delivery person was a man and the naked person on the couch was a woman. Would we still think that the naked woman waiting for the delivery was weird? Or would we think the man was weird for recording the indecent exposure incident? One of the ways that people were blaming Livie for even seeing this man was claiming that she was leaning over to see him, but when you actually look at the house, the porch has like a railing in the way in which you have to walk up to the side of the porch and are put in direct eye line with him on the couch, furthering the speculation that this was done on purpose. So, as the narratives continued to swing like a pendulum between if Livie or the couch guy was more in the wrong here, other uninformed parties began making videos to mock the fact that people were simply not putting any research into the situation at all, with a couple of people claiming to be the infamous couch guy or claiming that they had discovered who the mysterious couch guy was and said that he had prior charges for the same type of incident, only to say at the end of their videos that this was untrue and that they were just testing to see how long people watched the content for and how easy it was to spread lies.
Y'all, the Doordash essay thing, we just got an update. We just got new information. So apparently somebody recognized like the living room and the porch and everything, and they found out who the guy is, and they found out he's done this before. Like he has already been charged for like indecency before. So that everything that I just said was a lie. I just completely just made that up. Do you see how easy it is to lie about something? And did you believe me? Did you believe everything that I was saying? So when we're seeing all these people being like, she opened the door, she walked into the living room, da-da-da-da-da, with no proof, because I gave you no proof and you were still believing me.
And their tactics worked, as even new narratives sprouted about how the couch guy was apparently a serial flasher, despite there being no real evidence of this either. Many people actually began to say that if it came out as a fact that the guy was a known exhibitionist, they wouldn't be surprised. A caterer called Casey Speaks on TikTok posted a video with the man's house from a Google Street View and said that he found records of a man with the same name Livie had given in her video, and this man had a previous charge from what Casey Speaks cited as being similar to what happened to Livie, except the information that Casey Speaks provided was heavily redacted, and there isn't much to prove that the man that he found was the same person or not. All of this related to Casey Speaks is also mostly just speculative information. As he said, an apparent friend of the couch guy had reached out to him to correct information about the man's arrest records and how it wasn't even remotely related to indecent exposure.
So not only has he turned off the comments on his video, but he has since deleted the video in its entirety, claiming that TikTok took it down, to which I commented, I said, hey, if TikTok took it down, show the screenshot that they tell you they're taking your video down. And he also took down the picture of him giving the BS findings that the case was sealed, because he had a picture up there saying like, oh, I did find it, but it was sealed. You cannot access any sealed cases unless you are that person's lawyer or another lawyer that has relevance to that case. He has taken that down too. I'm guessing TikTok took that down too, which they didn't. Like I said, y'all gotta stop with the bullshit and spreading false information when y'all think people not gonna do no research themselves, because then you end up in a situation like this. I know for a fact TikTok did not take your video down. You took that shit down yourself.
Except, again, why is a friend of a friend of a friend the only people who seem to be speaking out for this couch guy? Why hasn't this mysterious couch man came out himself? People continue to spread around these wild claims accusations, and finger pointing all over the internet, but no one has actually even heard a fart from this man. If he was suing Livie, there would surely be some kind of evidence for it at this point, don't you think? As of the time of scripting this, Livie had not posted her own content in about a week, which she's posted now, don't worry. Which her not posting for that week caused an even crazier narrative to spring up overnight, with a couple of people circulating around that Livie was apparently arrested over all of this, which is a pretty bold and ridiculous thing to say with no proof, right? Livie actually, for the week that she wasn't posting her own content, was just reposting other people's content, which she would obviously have a hard time doing in jail, you know? Now, this entire situation kind of spiraled completely out of control, and even the most neutral of parties discussing this have sparked a debate within their own comment sections on who was actually in the wrong here. The man for being half naked while waiting for a food delivery, or Livie for posting the video she recorded of him. Some people say that both of them were in the wrong for their own reasons, because while Livie shouldn't have publicly posted a video of a man half naked without his consent, people also say he shouldn't have had an expectation of privacy when he had his door wide open for anyone to walk by and see him.
Now, where she fucks up is posting the video online. What the fuck are you doing? She had it right by giving it to the police, because that's at least an indecent exposure charge, and he should have his Doordash privileges revoked. But the internet is not for that. The internet is not a diary. The internet is not your close friend. Okay? That should have only gone to the police. Now, if you want to tell your story, I 1000% support that in every way, shape, or form. But to post him and his nethers, no. Furthermore, I have been drunk as a motherfucking skunk. I am talking mixing beer with liquor, and I have never, ever gotten unclothed, laid spread out, with my door wide ass open when I know I have food on the way. Alcohol may lower your inhibitions, but it does not fundamentally change you as a person. Furthermore, we have no evidence he was drunk, mostly because this man has not been found.
Other people have said that the best method to use against someone who might be committing indecent exposure or other sexual deviancy is public humiliation, and to inform the entire neighborhood of the issue.
And everybody wants to say, well, I think she's at fault, though, because she filmed it and she posted it. I'm glad she posted it. I'm glad she did, because you know what? This guy was banking on the fact that nobody would ever know what he did and that he wouldn't face consequences for his actions. But you know what's going to happen because she posted that video? Somebody's going to recognize him. Somebody knows a dude named Austin who's a little bit of a creep, and they know what his house looks like, or they know what his living room looks like. Somebody is going to recognize him. Somebody is going to identify him, and he may face consequences in his real life. I hope that video gets back to his mother. I hope that video gets back to his girlfriend. I hope that video gets back to his job. I hope his life is ruined by the fact that he chose to be a sexual predator.
I've also seen some opinions floating around acknowledging that while Livie shouldn't have posted that onto her TikTok account, they understand why she did, since if she just came out with the story of this happening, no one would have believed her. Finally, through all of this mess of shifting blame and victim shaming, a lot of people were upset about Livie calling the situation sexual assault. We are accustomed of thinking of assault as just being physical, but you don't have to physically touch someone in order to be assaulted. That's why we have differentiating terms for different kinds of assault, including physical and verbal. Why would you need to have that kind of distinction if it's always just one type, you know?
SA does not need to include physical touch. That would be sexual battery, which is under the umbrella of SA.
Indecent exposure can be classified as a type of sexual assault depending on the state, which I think it's kind of dumb that our laws here in this country vary so drastically. It doesn't really boil down to, the randos on the internet fighting about what terminology is the best to use in this situation. It's all about how a lawyer would charge the case if it ever went to court. People hardcore nitpicking the terminology that Livie used to describe her experience has been used even in really supportive videos of her in comment sections to downplay her story, going back into the mindset of, oh, it wasn't even that bad. But you don't know how someone will process that kind of situation. What might have not been that bad to you could have caused someone else to be haunted by it. Everyone is different. I can kind of understand the viewpoints of the more reasonable people responding to the situation, like how it wasn't a good idea on her part to upload this video to the internet. She could have gotten a written document that she reported this to the police to show as her evidence of it happening to her, using the video footage she recorded for just the police and to report to Doordash, and that could have allowed her to keep her job in the long run. But I also understand people wanting to believe the better in people and thinking that the guy wasn't intentionally trying to flash her, despite how suspicious it is that there was a DoorDash order made to this house and the door was just left wide open while he was half naked on the couch. At this point, we really can't prove that he did this intentionally and it wasn't just some prank by someone in his life or some comment saying, what if the door just blew open? I mean, yeah, when you're speculating like this on a story that you have the most bare bones evidence of, you could say practically anything and it could be viable, right? We just know the actual facts presented to us with this case. That a DoorDash order was made and there was instructions to drop off the food at the front door. That said door was wide open, the lights were on, and there was a man laying half naked on the couch. And Livie saw him and believed that she was the victim of indecent exposure. I know that in the age of the internet, that information can spread faster than ever before, and that also means misinformation can also spread just as fast. But it's kind of always wild to me how quickly public opinion on a situation can thus shift in either direction. When the narrative first began to shift back over to Livie's side after it was debunked that she just didn't open this man's door and walk into his home, a lot of larger content creators who were spreading around that original misinformation ended up deleting their videos, which most of them are now acting as if they never posted anything to begin with. The rare few that did post any kind of like apology for the harm that they helped contribute to did so in a way that further exemplified the point that people didn't do enough research before running into a narrative, with one guy saying that he just repeated what he had seen with as little as 2 or 3 videos discussing this. I can't even pretend that I wasn't on this roller coaster the entire way through, because when I first saw what Livie had posted, I felt bad and related since similar things have happened to me, right, with my grocery store tales. But then I saw the comments about her lying, and I was upset that someone would lie about something like this happening, since the first video I seen by Livie was her being upset that DoorDash had fired her, and not the video of her actually delivering the food. This video was going to be very different, actually, originally. I was actually going to make this video about the dangers of lying about something like this and how it furthers the stigmatization of victims coming out with their stories. And in a way, that's still kind of the moral of the story, except instead of Livie being a liar, we can see the harm that the spread of misinformation can cause and how that can taint the credibility of someone trying to tell their story. Despite all of the attempts of debunking this like rapid spread of misinformation, I still see, even from videos posted as little as an hour ago, people in the comments section still trying to spread this false narrative of Livie opening this door and walking into this man's house. I don't believe that the average internet user can be a perfect researcher, but this was a case where the barest amount of it showed that there was an obvious attempt to ruin the reputation of this girl because people just didn't like the way that she presented the evidence of her claims. A perfect victim doesn't exist. We will always find flaws with someone's behavior, and that can go both ways in this situation depending on if we ever get the true side of the man on the couch. He shouldn't have been naked on the couch while waiting for a DoorDash delivery, especially with his door wide open, obviously, and Livie shouldn't have posted the video of him online for millions to see. Be polite in the comments section for this video. I know it's a really testy subject, but what are your thoughts on all of this? Are you one of the people that spread the misinformation without doing proper research? It's totally okay if you were. I would understand. Or are you one of those people that swear up and down that you've seen this lost video that nobody else has been able to uncover? Remember to engage with this video in all of the way the algorithm likes, and to subscribe if you want more content from me. This video, like all of my content, is brought to you by Patreon, so thank you so much to Ippo, Alec, Mel, Zomboy, and Chrome for subscribing. If you want to support me on Patreon, tier start as little as $1 a month. Also, thank you to the channel member, Megan May. That's all for now. This is Finn, signing off. Until next time.
I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. 'Cause I can't move on till I